They're just killing Speed Duel with this, because what happens now in the EU? Hello everyone, and I hope you're doing well. Today we're discussing a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, which is the Speed Duel format in the EU. Now, if you're not familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh, you may not know what Speed Duel is, so I'll do a quick rundown for you. Speed Duel is a separate Yu-Gi-Oh format that is much less complex than the regular TCG. It's also much quicker and includes some things that regular Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't, most notably skill cards. These skill cards, if you've ever played Duel Links, you'll know very similar concept, but these skill cards allow you to kind of take an anime character and their power and use them to build your deck around. This is a really fun format, since in the TCG and kind of other formats like Edison, you can only really build with your cards. You can build an archetype, sure, but you can't build around Pegasus. Also in likeness with Duel Links, there is 3 spell and trap zones, 3 monster zones, 6 cards in the side deck, 20 to 30 cards in the main deck, and you start with 4,000 life points. So it's pretty much Speed Duel, but in real life, but lower power. And now that we've got the basics down, when did Speed Duel actually start? Initially, Speed Duel was released in the OCG in 2016, but was ported over to the TCG in 2019. We'll be focusing on the TCG side on this video. In 2019, the first Speed Duel structure decks were released, including fan favourites such as Kaiba and Yugi, with decks built around them, ready to go. Whilst they weren't the most competitive lists, you could still have a good shot at locals and have a bunch of fun with your friends. To give you an idea of the format, let me run through a couple of the structures that were released at the starting point of Speed Duel. As you can see, it's very low power, but that's part of what makes it fun, since it really revolves around those skills, which you'll never see in any other part of the game. So, the big question is, why is Speed Duel dying in the EU? Konami recently have put out a set called Midterm Destruction. This Midterm Destruction set is not coming to the EU, as far as we can tell. Konami has put out a bunch of promotional material which show that the set is coming to the US and other places, but not the EU. Suppliers have also told us a similar thing. Someone reached out to the suppliers, kind of a few big names, Chaos Cards, etc., to see when this Midterm Destruction set is actually coming to EU. And their shocking answer was, it's not. So the 2 suppliers that were reached out to were Hills Cards and Chaos Cards. Chaos Cards are saying, thank you for the email. As far as we know, we are still expecting this product and will update the listing as soon as we are able to put them up on pre-order. I would advise using the notify me option when stock is available. Which is more promising than all the other answers we see. We also have a contact from Hills Cards. They say, thank you for getting in touch. I'm afraid we've just found out that this is a USA exclusive, so we will be unable to stock it. There's a chance it might be printed for us in the future, but that won't be for a while, if it happens at all. Sorry about that. Kind regards, Greg. Thank you, Greg. I really appreciate the news, if you're out there. And thank you, Millie from Chaos Cards. In the end, the same person that contacted these suppliers had had enough and decided to go to Konami directly for a straight answer. And do you know what that answer was? Exactly the same as the suppliers. Konami's responses from 2 different emails. Thank you for reaching out to us with your interest in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's great to hear from a fan and we appreciate the queries. Currently, we have no plans to release Speed Duel GX Midterm Destruction in EU territories. For all news and information regarding future releases, please check our official website, and please reach out. Again, if you have any further questions or need assistance, we're happy to help. Just going to let that sink in for a second. Konami have pushed a mainline product in EU for a long time, since 2019. It's been a thriving format. Yes, it might have gotten less popular recently, but do you know what's going to help it be more popular? Releasing the sets. Like, they're just killing Speed Duel with this, because what happens now in the EU? And before we move on, let's just talk about the second email from Konami that says, subscribe to Rainbow Staple? Just like click that button? No, for real though, it's exactly the same email, copy and pasted. So, Speed Duel is dying in the EU, and if you don't play Speed Duel, why should you care that it's dying? Well, the biggest thing for me is the new player problem. We all know Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole has a massive new player problem. The learning curve is so steep that it can take years to even get on a level where you can top local. Speed Duel was one of the few ways to learn the basics of Yu-Gi-Oh! Without having to dive into an hour-long deck breakdown and where to hand trap videos, all that stuff. Not only that, it was such a different format that I genuinely think most people would have enjoyed it if they tried it. The skills were absolutely nuts and allowed for some crazy deck building. Hell, we had Abydos top for about 3 weeks in a row because no one knew how to beat it. It was a really fun format, and it's hard to believe that Konami is trying to kill it. Now, the second biggest problem in Yu-Gi-Oh!, you can say it with me, cards are expensive. Ridiculous. Look at SP Little Knight. Everyone needs a copy for that pretty much, unless you're playing Stun, to be competitive. But the most frustrating part about this is because it was one of the lowest barriers to entry Yu-Gi-Oh! Has ever had. You could buy singles for a deck for about $10, rock up at locals, and come first place with it. It's just that easy. Why are we getting rid of this? Is it not making them enough money? Which can't be true. People are buying 3 of each structure every time it comes out. Everyone in the format would love to do that. They at least buy 1 for the pre-release, so they must be making money on this. But the best part about the price being low is it meant the barrier to entry to playing Yu-Gi-Oh! At all was lowered massively. Not only by the skill required, because it's a much slower, or, well, I guess technically a slower format, but the price point to get in was so low. You could buy, as I said earlier in the video, 3 structures and work with it. But that's the most frustrating bit about this for me is, for new players, this was one of the easiest ways to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! You spend $20 on singles, you have a top tier deck, and now you can go to locals and have a good bit of fun learning the basics of Yu-Gi-Oh! Whilst changing it up with the skills. This is one of the reasons I think that even if you don't play Speed Duel, you should be upset that it's going. Because new players will have one less way to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Without having to dive into a 20-hour combo guide and a grand worth of debt. Another point on why players that might not play Speed Duel should be upset that Speed Duel is going are the Speed Duel reprints. If you're solely a TCG player, then you'll know that some cards from Speed Duel were reprinted much more recently than their old printings. The big one at the moment is Heatwave. Heatwave was printed in one of the recent Speed Duel sets around 2019, I believe, but the last time it was printed in the TCG was 2010. And can you imagine if there wasn't a reprint from Speed Duel? 2 reprints from Speed Duel, in fact. This card would be so much more expensive. But, you know, Speed Duel deserves to be killed, I guess. Now, this point is slightly subjective, but personally, and I know my locals will, they really miss the Speed Duel secrets. The card stock on Speed Duel cards were fantastic, especially the secret foiling as well. It really popped. And you always got secrets with every box, so you can always look forward to some cards, and there were some good ones as well, like meta-relevant cards, especially for old formats. So I think we're all going to miss these collectively as the TCG drives the price of these back up again. Now, the one question on everyone's mind is, why don't you just import it? Why don't you EU players just suck it up, pay a bit extra, and import these cards over and play them at your locals to dominate everyone there? Or share them out if you're a nice guy? Well, the answer to this is simple. It's illegal. You can't. I don't mean illegal in the literal sense. The police aren't going to take you to jail for life just for importing a Speed Duel box, but on the official EU Konami site, there is a list of cards that cannot be played in Speed Duel format in the EU. This includes some promotional cards that weren't kind of printed in our sets, but also includes the most recent set. So even if you found a way to import it over, spend a bit of extra money to get it over, you're not allowed to use it. Not in official tournaments. And if you want to use it for casual play, the barrier to entry has just raised significantly, and at that point you might as well just use TCG cards. This doesn't stop casual play with the set, but considering the price of importing, researching where to get it imported from, and numerous other reasons. It just means the easiest format to enter has now become one of the most difficult. So what can we do about this? Well, there's only a few things really. The only thing us players can do is continue to get in touch with Konami and let them know how much we want the product. Message them on Twitter on their promotions, drop them an email, ask them where this set is, show them that we're interested in this format and we want it to live. Now, I will say I don't condone spamming or hate messages, so don't go spamming the 3 letters of the internet if you know, to the employee that hosts their Twitter. We just need to let them know that we want Speed Duel and we don't want it to die. Otherwise, we just have to wait and see. I'm sure if the next set doesn't come to the EU, Speed Duel will die. We can't keep playing the same format forever. I mean, we can, but who's gonna find it fun? But until the next set shows up, or Konami puts out a statement, we just won't know. And we know Konami aren't putting out a statement anytime soon. So EU Speed Duel players, I hope you enjoy the current format, because we're going to be playing it for a while. And for any US and OCG players, I really hope you're enjoying that box. Please help us get it. So to finish things off and wrap things up, I thought I would interview someone from my locals who has been playing Speed Duel almost from the very beginning and get a bit more insight on a competitive Speed Duel player. Hello, this is Kitt, everyone, from locals. Say hi, hello.
Hey mate, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a week's time. How have you been?
Yeah, not bad. Been cooking. Been falling off a Speed Duel a little bit though for some reason.
Been absolutely not playing the games. What you've been doing? I haven't seen you for a week. We didn't do Speed Duel because you weren't here.
I can't help it, my guy. It's too
Understandable. It's understandable. In fact, like the sentiment towards Speed Duel is pretty low right now.
Yeah, morale is quite low as this set is
No, what set?
It doesn't exist. It's not real. So I thought we'd go over a couple of context questions, like what brought you to Speed Duel and kind of how long you've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh in general, in any order.
Oh, sure. I guess I'll start off with when I started playing this accursed game of ours. I first started playing Yugioh in 2016. This was when the Master of Pendulum Shark deck had first come out. And I think this is when like Pepe had like received its emergency ban list, so everyone was like just collectively relaxing about it. After a couple of formats, a couple of years, Speed Duel came out, as we all know. I actually first started playing Speed Duel in the first wave. I've actually got the first box of stuff like literally down there next to my desk. Yeah, I would dig it out, but it's buried underneath a bunch of tins, so I'm not doing that.
Might be considered a relic soon.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I want to see SGX1 and the little car packet structure decks. I've got all of them. I've got the grand majority of them as well. I started playing Speed Duel just because I got slightly bit bored of the format at the time, and at the time, a person that Paddy and I both know, Sean, he runs our events at a local that we both go to. He introduced it to us, and it was a fun little format that we didn't have to worry about meta all the time, and where we could just like pick a skill, pick a bunch of cards, shove them in the deck, and just goof around. It's basically GOAT format, but actually fun. That's how I think about it. Like, it's like, right, do I want to play like 20 stables in a deck? Right, I just freaking graceful charity, pot of greed every single time. No, I'm just gonna play like stuff that actually has counterplay around, that's actually interactive. I think that's the main thing that I think is that TCG has kind of lacking, the actual impact of interaction. Because in TCG, as we both very well know, we've had a couple of formats in where there have been tier 0 decks. I mean, Tielemans for one. Like, do I need to say more about that?
No.
And then currently, Snake Eyes, £1,000 decks. Yeah. If you don't have at least 2 copies of SP Lignite in your deck, you're trolling. Every deck is absolutely blinged out. Extra deck prices are through the roof right now. You must have certain ratios. You must have this. You must have that. If you don't, like, you're just not playing.
Would you say that's your favourite part of Speed Duel, just being able to escape these types of
metas? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Not having to play any defined deck, like just because TCG is so you must play this or it's not going to work. Having Speed Duel and just because there's no like definitive meta in Speed Duel. Every strategy works as long as you have like cards to supplement it. It works. I mean, granted, like there are cards that you will want to play in them, like Free Wall of the Destruction. It's just it's just good. You might want to substitute that wall for like a Book of Moon or something, and then you have your Jinzos, your Darkses, Rooters, you can search, and like. The ban list for Speed Duel, that might be because there's a smaller card pool than compared to TCG, but the ban list actually makes sense. Like certain problem cards are just hit right away.
Yeah, thank God.
And it's not that like the decks can just find their way around it. Like the decks that you play will have to change. Like deck building drastically changes with the limited ban list. And yeah, that's just something that we just won't find in TCG anymore. Because everything must be you play this deck or you're not doing it correctly.
Yeah, it's like you play this deck or you play a deck that beats it, and that's it.
And with TCG, there is nothing definitive that beats Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes beats Snake Eyes, nothing else.
But I think that's a good point with the ban list, because it's so different to TCG. It really does make you change your entire deck. Yeah.
And plus, like the TCG ban list has often been controversial. Just saying.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Have you seen the OCG ban list? That they apparently put like SP too, and I'm just like, what?
Don't get me started on that ban list.
On the lines of that, I'm just like, what? You're never playing more than 2. You're never fiending for more than 2. But yeah, back on the whole Speed Duel talk. It's better than the TCG just because there's no like just TLDR. It's better just because you don't necessarily need to play meta. You can play whatever the hell you want. You can have fun. Just I've even got a deck now. Like I showed Paddy before the call. It's a red ice deck. Like I know the reflection is absolutely horrible, but I'm running a card that you would never see in like modern TCG, like Creature Swap. Would you ever see this card in TCG nowadays?
Nope.
You've never seen that in TCG. You can legit take the most wackiest of cards, put them in a 20 to 30 card deck, and it will work. You will have so much fun with it.
Yeah, 100%.
Whereas now, whenever anyone loses in a TCG game, all you'll hear is he just had the out every time.
Custom hand.
That's all you hear. Yeah, he just had the custom hand, like say when a certain voiceless voice player got hit by droplets. Yep.
But yeah, I suppose we love Speed Duel, and I'm sure everyone can see that by the discussion we're having here. But what do you think of the new set just not releasing? Like,
I mean, that's objectively not true. It's releasing. It's not for us.
Yeah, you're right. I'm trying to cope.
Yeah, cope, mate. I'm about to roll through a window at this point. I don't know what you're talking about. My days. Like it's objectively one of the most stupidest decisions I've ever heard. Like genuinely ever in my life. It's like, right, let's just release the shit for half our player base. Like, what sense does that make?
Yeah, just
like, why? Like, okay. Let's say Konami wants to blame it on like a shipping issue, like that they can't necessarily ship it over to the UK, that they're having supply problems. They might not, but that's an understandable explanation. That's fine. Yeah. At least let us play it,
or tell us.
Yeah, because as we've heard from like multiple of our friends in our locals, specifically James, Jordan, BJ, these players are like, I wouldn't say better, but they're like more competent players than the two of us, and they play at more high-level events like regionals and qualifiers and stuff like that. They have all collectively come to the conclusion that because the set was never released in TCG, Europe per se, because it was never released over here, it doesn't matter if we import the cards, we can't use them.
No, even the Konami website has a list of cards that weren't printed here for Speed Duel. and unfortunately at the bottom of the website, the set is listed as unplayable in EU. So it's confirmed that we cannot play with the cards, even if we import them, which is
It just
disappointing.
doesn't make any sense. Like, why? Like there is legitimately no logical explanation as to why they wouldn't just give us it as well. Like I know it sounds like I'm raging a bit, but
I mean,
I
am.
cannot find any logical explanation as to why.
Like,
Because
yeah.
it actively locks out European players from ever doing an event. Because, like, don't get me wrong, like, personally, I have bias towards my deck, and Paddy knows what deck that is.
Yeah.
Like, my deck isn't affected by any new like, step
Nope.
whatsoever. Like, I don't care. But it's just the fact that, like, every other player now cannot access the newest tech. Because so by default, every single deck strategy, every single deck list, and the card pool that you have to work with is now smaller. Every European player, if we ever get a a regional world champion speed duel event, if European players are even allowed to go there,
Yeah.
because we've not even got every single product, every single European player's deck is now automatically weaker than the American counterparts because we don't have the cards. For example, the two of us have seen some of the cards in the set list.
It's a good set.
Yeah. Oh, the set is absolutely broken. Dandelion, Card Trooper, excuse me, normal
Diner?
summon, 3 Card Trooper, 3 Dandelion, normal summon Card Trooper, effect, mill a Dandelion, get 2 tokens. Broken.
Sounds
I'm sorry.
so fun.
3 monsters. 3 monsters just like that. And then as soon as that Card Trooper gets destroyed, you draw a card on top.
That's nuts.
Straight away. Yeah, and perhaps the biggest kick in the face is the Mystical Space Typhoon. We're not getting Mystical Space, which automatically means that our spell and spell trap disruption is weaker. Because if we look at the card pool for TCG Europe right now, what kind of spell and trap disruptions do we have? I'll try and list them off. We have normal Typhoon, which only targets face up. We have Dust Tornado, which is a trap card. We have Dice Foon, which is literally you roll a dice, and if you don't get the right card, you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
We have Galaxy Cyclone, which is actually really good.
It's limited too, right?
It's nice face down cards, and then you have to wait a turn to target a face up card, which is unironically really good because that's what killed Zoma off. So I'm not too bothered about that. And then we also have Night Beam. Night Beam only targets face down. Granted, it's a good card because your opponents can't chain to it, can't chain the targeted card in response, but again, it only targets face down. Our last card is Cosmic Cyclone, for which you have to pay £1,000 as £1,000 on my face.
Whoa! Tier 1 meta, Tier 0 meta.
1,000 life points, yeah, 1,000 life points. That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, hear me out here. Would you rather have any of those cards, or would you rather just have free amnesty?
All of the above, please.
There is no reason to be running any other card over an MST. And so to be able to set the MST as a bluff, and because your opponent has to commit a face down card before the battle phase, since we don't have a main phase 2 at Speed Duel, we can just weed out potential cards because now we know that card that they've set is about to be popped in their end phase. They now don't have as many cards in hand, so we don't have to be scared of a sphere creep as much. And we've also cleared the way for our monsters to attack. So by not allowing the set to come out, Konami has basically just said, yeah, we're going to prioritize the Americans through everyone else. And that's not a good look for them whatsoever. And I think you told me this as well, actually. Every single time on Twitter, X.
Oh yeah, everyone still calls it Twitter.
Yeah, every time they post a Speed Duel related post, everyone just slanders them.
Yeah,
which is rightfully deserved in my opinion, but I don't think they care enough, or something. I don't know.
I think that's the only thing we can do at the moment. I have put a call to action. Email them, tweet them, just let them know that we want this set Because yeah, as you say, it's a massive
Oh, absolutely.
disadvantage. Like,
Because people who are like playing Speed Duel, it's not like TCG. I don't think anyone who actually invests their time into Speed Duel genuinely cares about
mm,
the game, because it's genuinely a very, very fun format. There is a lot more innovation in Speed Duel than there is in TCG. I mean, at least in my opinion, because of your skill cards and the limited card pool that we have, we have to like make specific strategies work,
we have
and they
to
often
innovate.
just work in like very weird ways. Like for example, like you could be playing like level 3 normal monsters and just run Cyrus's room for growth skill, and then oh wait, so you've turned a hunter dragon, which is 1700 attack, into a 2600. Like
Hell
not many
yeah.
things survive 2600. Konami's going to get slandered by this. They are getting slandered for this, and because they've made an objectively stupid choice. They don't seem to be rectifying it anytime soon. They don't seem to care about the people who are actually playing this game. And it just seems to me, as an EU player, that they don't care about us anymore. They just want to prioritize the Americans, and that's it.
100% agree with that. So it does bring us quite nicely onto one of our last questions, which is, what do you think is going to happen next? It's a bit of a broad question. There's a bit of a, what do
That
you want to happen? What do you expect will happen?
what do I want to happen? Well, very honestly, I want Konami to like wake up and realize that like not like that this is one of the objective worst decisions they've made for Speed Duel, because quite frankly, I don't think many people are quite happy about this decision whatsoever. And if that's the case, the opinion of Speed Duel is just going to tank. Like it's going to tank downhill. Like I'm not making any absurd gestures about it. And
Yeah.
the thing is that modern TCG players already don't look upon Speed Duel favorably. Like if we ask the people in our locals, specifically James, like I said, he often calls it cringe. Like people playing TCG often have this conception that Speed Duel is cringe. It's not.
Because it's more of a
But
casual format, I suppose.
yeah, the sentiment that Speed Duel is cringe is just going to get spread around. And because TCG players far outnumber our Speed Duel players, like Konami is going to prioritize their views over our views. So it's just not going to go anywhere. What I would want is for Konami to like release it over to us, or at least give us some form of communication as to like why it's not coming over,
Yeah.
or in best case scenario, them just saying, "All right, this is just like being delayed a little bit, and we're going to release in like like 2-3 months time. It's all right.
Hold
The
fire.
European players will get them as well, so it'll be all good." That's the best scenario going forward. But what I think is going to happen, I don't want to say it, Pad. I really don't want to say it.
Yeah, I think I know.
I think it might be the end.
It
I
does
think
feel
it
that
will,
way.
because the lack of communication is the worst part. With them not confirming if we're ever going to get the set, it's radio silence. My pessimistic side is telling me that us in EU, we're not going to get the set ever.
Yeah, I'm also a bit on that side. Yeah, it's I'm gonna huff a bit of
Pessimism.
copium.
Yeah,
Just
it is
that.
pure pessimism right now. I've even heard some people say, I think you said this as well, that you think that Rush Duel might be coming over instead.
That is the speculation at the moment. It's based on nothing. Like there's no reason to think that. It's just an excuse for Konami, I think. It's something to say, oh, that's why they did it, rather than we want Rush Duel.
It makes sense to the speculation, but it would also be like a bit of a double-edged sword at the same time. Because if Rush Duel does come over to the EU per se, then what happens to Speed Duel in America? Because now we're going to have the OCG and EU on Rush. If that's the case, then Speed might just die out in America as well, because then the Americans are going to say like, "All right, why aren't we having these like awesome Rush Duel cars, this new mechanic and stuff?" Speed Duel the interest for Speed Duel might just tank, and then it just dies slowly. which is genuinely kind of sad because
Hmm.
the reprints in the set are
Yeah.
amazing.
Heatwave, big one at the moment.
Oh, he wave is £10 a copy. Why is it £10 a copy? My lord. Why?
But yeah, it
But yeah,
could be the end of Speed Duel, which would be
it's
really sad.
glum. It is very glum. And every day that we don't get any type of official confirmation from Konami about the state of affairs regarding Speed Duel EU is just every day that hope just dies a little bit more. Honestly, the only way we can, us EU players, can even like play with the new set, we have to go behind the rules. Like, think of how bad. No.
Yeah.
Think of how bad that sounds. To
Mhm.
play the game that everyone wants to play, we have to literally break the rules. But how is this okay?
But what I will say is final question. Do you have anything to say to either the viewers or Konami about Speed Duel? Even if it's just that.
Konami, I've got a lot to say to Konami about Speed Duel. I got too much to say, and it'll probably take up too much time in your video. But basically, TLDR for Konami, please rethink your decision to not release this product in the EU. Yeah. So just rethink it. At least, or at the bare minimum, let us import it. Let it be legal to be used at the least. Is what I'm saying.
Mm.
You don't necessarily like. I would very much appreciate it if you did, release a set in the EU, or at least bare minimum give us some form of confirmation as to what's going on. Like some communication at the bare minimum. I'm not asking
Yeah.
for much. Just a confirmation as to whether you're planning on discontinuing Speed Duel for us, or if it's just like a delay.
Which is
And
what
for
we're
the
hoping.
viewers, I don't have anything to say regarding Speed Duel apart from like keep your hopes up. It's not over yet, even though I've been very pessimistic in this video, in this interview of ours.
Hard not to
And
be.
also subscribe to Paddy.
Respect. Thank you.
Genuinely, his man's grinding out content for you on the regular. Show him some support.
Thank you, brother. And one word to the
No problem.
viewers: spam them socials. Don't spam. Just get onto Konami if you care about Speed Duel. If you care about the cards, get onto Konami. Let them know, because that's the only way we're going to receive some communication about this. So, yeah. But I will say we'll wrap up there. Thank you, Kitt, for coming on. I really do appreciate it. It's been good fun.
Anytime I die.
And yeah, that'll be it. Little
Yeah.
quick, simple outro. Bye.
Yep. That's all right. Bye-bye.
Peace.